I'm going to throw you a curveball because we usually talk about things before we go on to the podcast. But one of the things that's on your website, that's electjohnlennon.com, we'll talk more about that, is a growing city requires leaders committed to fiscal responsibility. What is fiscal responsibility at the Wilmington level?
I think that's a broad question, but I think fiscal responsibility is when you pass a bond project and you tell the public that you're going to spend tens of millions of dollars to make their quality of life better, then you better do it. You better not wait 9 or 10 years to do it. That's not fiscally responsible. If you did that in your business, if I did that in my business, we would be out of business. Fiscal responsibility is making sure that instead of, one of the examples I use, instead of a department of 10 planning professionals all I'm making these numbers up, making $60,000 a year, why don't we have 5 making over $100,000 a year? Why don't we have the best that can be held to a level of accountability that we know we've got the best and the brightest there? To me, that's fiscally responsible instead of having multiple bodies who are taking this job because our private jobs are all filled up. That doesn't compute. Everybody's favorite, the PPD building, is a great example of fiscal responsibility. I would challenge anybody listening to this to tell me how many times they had heard that the city was going to have to spend $94 million to renovate Chestnut Street before this all came up. And yet it was presented to council and it was presented to the public as if, well, yes, everyone knows this. The Chestnut Street building, it's outdated. It doesn't work for us. People are split up. And it's going to cost us $94 million to renovate it. That was the first time I'd ever heard that number.
Interesting.
And yet it was used as an argument to acquire, a $68 million asset. And my position on that building is, and I'm not deflecting at all. I'm being totally honest when I say, I don't know if it was a good idea or not. And that is my bigger problem, is that the level of information provided to the public, in my opinion, was woefully inadequate.